This is Daf Yomi Yerushalmi. In the article, Ozo Hoda edition, we're on Daf Laban Alav, about 10 lines on the bottom, about halfway through the page. Tninon, Tamon, and on the Vilna, it is also about 10 lines on the bottom, as a Tinan Hacha. Sorry, not Tinan Tamon. Also 10 lines on the bottom, Tinan Hacha. But the sugya is very, very difficult to come in sugya unless you go back and learn, like the Gra in the Mishnah, that miluo means a mashu. But yesterday we learned that miluo is 6 tefachim. So if we're going to be consistent, we have to approach the sugya very differently than most Mefarshim take it, if not all Mefarshim. And although the rest of it seems somewhat similar, but not completely the same. Not completely the same. But as a matter of fact, perhaps only slightly the same. But in order to understand this, we have to go back on the line and examine Rav Huna. Rav Huna, in the time of the Rabbi Yehuda, Bishkis Baruch Gana Yorok, Kam Yeshua Shel Parsa Tefach. Now, at first glance, Rabbi Huna is just telling us a simple halacha, right? A simple din, simple limud, that the shear of the telem is a tefach. But no, I don't think so. I think Bishkis Baruch Gana Yorok means that he's telling us, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the shear of a telem is not a tefach. The shear of the makom hashka, shear of the sides of the telem have to be a tefach. So that means whatever width the telem is, besides the width of the telem, you need to have a tefach open on each side of that telem. Okay, so that's the vishkisa, the makom where you're going to be mashke from on both sides has to be a tefach. So you need tefach, the width of the telem, whatever that is, and then the tefach on the other side. If we learn that way, the next sugya works very, very well, as we shall see momentarily. So the Tiyan Hacha, Rabbi Yehuda, Tiyan Taman. We said here we learn Rabbi Yehuda. We learned in the beginning in the first mission in our parak that Rabbi Yehuda in a vegetable hatch requires a hachaka of a tefach, and therefore he may manage to squeeze in into a vegetable patch six different seeds. Six different vegetables, and that's kind of like this. As you see, there's a tefach gap between each one. Okay, that gives you 6. And okay, so there also he said a tefach. So why do you need both? So the Gemara says, if we just learned here, Velotni someone down over there, we would say, mine Rabbi Yehuda do machmir hacha. It was machmir because besides the width of the telem itself, it requires a tefach on either side of the telem. The blank telem on either side of the telem. Meko tamon. He's meko there and says tefach is enough. The chaka between the different vegetables in the patch. So I would say Rabbanan, the Rabbanan, Rabbi Yakim, Rabbi Shmuel, who don't require any interruption. The article is not running this way either, but I think this is the pshat. That's the way we looked at yesterday. They don't require any interruption. You can just put right as long as you have the rochad milua, whatever that is. You can put, which is we said yesterday, 6 tvachim. You can put a row of vegetables in the middle of your other vegetables. And according to Shon, just says go foolish from side to side. According to Rabbi Kiva, who just says go in 6 tvachim. But in any event, they who are more lenient here, they don't require any archak at all between the rest of the field, the other vegetables, and these vegetables in the middle. So, kosher came. Also over there, the Shemaikan say only require a tefach between each of the minim in the aruga, and we know that that's not the case. We know that according to Rabbanan, you need actually a tefach and a half. And that's where you can't get 6 into an aruga. You have to have only get 5 into an aruga because you need a tefach and a half difference. Over here, you'll see. He says tefach and a half gap between them. So I would have thought, again, if we just would have told us Rabbi Yehuda here, not Rabbi Yehuda there, but if Rabbi Yehuda is, if we just told us Rabbi Yehuda here and not there, I would say if Rabbi Yehuda, who's machmir here, is makel over there, it wouldn't have said machlokas. That's really what I should say. It wouldn't have said machlokas over there, not just Rabbi himself. When it said the machlokas, they say, okay, it was just, I would say, my Rabbi Yehuda do machmir hacha mekel taman, Rabbanan do mekilin hacha, lo koshkein shishah kilin taman. So they should make it there, but Tzuchim Masli Taman, they need Korabana Tefach and a half. With Nisa Tamam Blood Nisach, whatever, it just said there, not it's over here. I mean, it would say, my Rabbana Dinu Machmina Taman. If Rabbana who are Machmir there, they require Tefach and a half, Inam Akilin Hachal, they make it there. And you say you don't need any gap on the sides of the telem of vegetables in the middle, just make the telem in a way that it's nicker as distinct from the rest of the vegetable field. Rabbi Yehuda do mekel tamon. Rabbi Yehuda's mekel over there. It says only you need a tefach, not a tefach and a half. So certainly here he shouldn't require any gap between the other vegetables and the vegetable in the middle. That's you have to tell us both in order to tell us that don't infer that since one is mekel there, he's mekel here, or if one is makli here, one is mekel here. Don't infer that just because somebody's making on one location, he's making on the other location. No, two issues are not connected. Happens to be there. Happens to be according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's a tefach there, and Rabbi Yehuda, so it's tefach here, but they're two very different tefachim, and therefore Rabbanan are not necessarily where they're, even though they're makel here, they're not going to necessarily be makel over there. The two machlokas are distinct from each other. Okay, I hope that worked. Let's go further. Says Halacha Dal. Somebody implants 2 rows of squash. 2 rows of gourds. 2 rows of the Egyptian legumes, mutter, and even though they have excessive foliage, nevertheless they're considered to distinct, and therefore you wouldn't have a problem planting in the middle of a different vegetable patch. Shura shokishu and shura shalim shura por mitzri also, but one shura does not look distinct. As a matter of fact, it looks very much mixed up in with the others, and therefore with the other vegetables around it, and therefore it's also. Shura shokishu you have a row of kishuin. Shura shaluim and a row of luim. Shura shapula mitzri and a row of pula mitzri. But shura shokishuin you have one of kishuin, one of luin, one of pula mitzri, and another one of kishuin. Leza matir, because all the Reb Chaim says goes all the rows are mitzaref. But I have it in the side of my Gemara, but the Kahati says that it's because it's like the previous Mishnah where you allow Telem Shel Yerek Telem Shel Acher Toch Sadeu. I'm not sure what the difference is. It's a similar idea. According to Reb Chaim, I guess, according to Reb Chaim, you need to eat starfus. According to the Kati, no, you don't need starfus. In this case, each one is seen as a separate. It's an interesting chap according to Kati. Now that I think about it, because you have shur shukishur on one side, shur shukishur on the other side. So even though you have in the middle pula mitzri and luin, I look at the 2 outer kishuin. Okay, now we have 2 rows, kishuin here, kishuin there, and then if you plant in the middle between them, the luin or pula mitzri, that's fine. But it's not because of it's darfus, but because you have 2 rows of kishuin. Just they happen to be a little bit different, separate from each other. But it's because you have 2 rows of kishuin, one on each side. Okay, that's nice. Noter adam kishu shel vlas. Now it's very fascinating halacha. I'm sorry. Chacham Asa, they say no. Good. You have to have 2 tlamim of the same type in order to be matzah. It's not that you they don't have the chap of kishuin, and this like kishuin that side being started, even though they're pula mitzri and vlas in the middle. No, they have to be specifically 2 of the same min next side by side. Note that kishu vlas, a person can plant a a gourd and a squash and a gourd in one hole in the ground. It's just shocking. Then not to the side then not to the side. As long as you train the plants that they go out from each other. Same on the bottom, they're in the same hole. We look at everything, it's minor science, Kilayim, right? Everything's minor science. So as long as you can train the plants that they go separately outside the hole, it's okay. The Mishnah of the Bavli and the Reb Chaim changed the next word from Venotea to Venoteh. So it's a continuation of the previous statement. Venoteh Seyar Shozulakan, Seyar Shozulakan. You bend the plants and then you bend the foliage on each side. Shekei Mash Osu Chachamim, and that is this fine, this okay, what we've been saying all the time. Only here it says Osu Chachamim, but not necessarily Chachamim. It really is the Torah, according to the way Chachamim interpreted. Elamim Nei Marasayin. The whole thing is Marasayin, and that is where Chaim actually says that here. Lav Dafka Chachamim B'Torah, but he does bring down that according to the Rambam, you need a distance in the leaves. Like, so hard I can't read my own handwriting. You see what Reb says, because I can't read what I wrote there. The Rambam holds you have to be marking between them kidin, and the Mishnah is telling us that we shouldn't say that the hole it makes them chavush and the usher. But since you can make them incline to each side, it doesn't look like a mixture and it's okay. So it sounds like the Rambam, it's not a din of Marasayin, it's a din, but this is a legitimate halakha, and we don't look at the fact that both of them are in the hole together. But the first round of Reb Chaim is the one which we've been going through after the Masechta, that the whole idea of Kilayim has to do with how it looks. Okay, Hanotea Shtei Shuros. Chizkiah Amar b'machlekas. You planted two rows. Chizkiah says it is a machlokas, and according to the it was based on the following Mishnah. Machlokas, you need 12 amos, or it's enough to have 8 amos. And the Machlokes is going to be here as well. And Moshe Marapanim say that this only works according to the Svar of Taisvis. The Kishun and Luim are not Kilayim because they are recognizable. Which obviously is not where Reb Chaim is going with when he said that Marasayin is the issue. Reb Chaim himself writes that each one of them is called Muksha, because they are one sug. Well, actually, that's all going on what it says later on. But so therefore, I wanted to let's go to the Marapanim actually inside. Marapanim says Sugi Chizka Sugi Yevsha Parshakim Apia Svarshi Skatu Ifnim Svars Ataisis Beperik Rabbi Kiva Shmaitz the Ruda Pepe Dibur Mas Esvin Otesh Teshus Kuli Kosta the Kishun Lava Climb in Tluim Mishum the Minkare, because they can tell the difference. Now come on, Notedam Kishus Laza Tocha Guma Achas. Kishus and Las into one Guma. Hey Lunu Pulamitzi Minkara. Also recognizable. Have a Kishuna Pulamitzi have a Kilayim. But a Kishuin and Pulamitzi are considered to be Kilayim because Shur Shul Kishuin V'chule Aser. If you have a Shur of Kishuin, it's Aser. The Shur Achal Shadluin Lo Mafsaka Bein Kishuin Le Pulamitzi Ad Kan L'Shona. So there's going to be an issue in our Mishnah. Whether you can have the Luin, you can have Kishuin and Luin next to each other, but does that help for the Pula Mitzri in the middle? So where the Pula Mitzri, when you have Kishuin, Luin, Kishuin, Luin, Pula Mitzri, Kishuin, so okay, Kishuin, Luin, not a problem. But according to this opinion, then it should be a problem that the Luin are, the Pula Mitzri is next to the Kishuin. That's how the, Pnei Moshe learns the Sugya. The way the Reb Chaim learns the Sugya, I lost my feed here. Machlokes about 8 and 12 is like the following Mishnah, and we also had this before already. In the we want to plant in the middle. You need to have 8 amos, and you can plant in the middle, or the 12 amos, and you can plant in the middle. The 12 amos being 2 amos on each side of the middle, and blank, and then you have 2 things in the middle. Well, you have botzel, you have 1 thing in the middle, botzel. Or is it each plot 8 amos, which is 2 shuros? So it's tied into that machlokus over there in the next mission. You've been looking at the next mission. Okay, it says, I said there's Rubitzon Bikish Lita Batoga Shura Shul Luim, Shmo Omer, Oker Shtei Shuros, Vinoter Shura Achas, and Minia Kama Bitzolim, Bemokom Shtei Shuros, Oker Shuros, Vinoter Shura Achas, Kimmer, Oker Shtei Shuros, Vinoter Shtei Shuros, and Minia Kama Bitzolim, Bemokom Shtei Shuros, Oker Shtei Shuros, Vinoter Shtei Shuros. We'll get that mission when we get to it, but it's these cases on top, one of which ends up with 12 amos, the other ends up with 8 amos. That's not so much the point here. The point here is the next part of the Gemara. Next part of the Gemara is Amar Rabbi Yechon Divrei HaKolhi. Our Mishnah is not subject to machlokes. It has nothing to do with the next Mishnah. Next Mishnah is talking about Yerakos and Betzalim, something else. Or Muksha and Betzalim does something else. Here, he wants to say the Svara is Yofa Koch Muksha ben Mukshos Lahatzi B'Shmona. Here you have the Muksha ben Mukshos, which is some ways of learning it. Since all of them are, according to the Reb Chaim, since all of them are called Mukshos, Muksha, the Luin, Pula Mitzri, and Kishuin, Pula Mitzri, Vlas, and Kishuin, Luin, Pula Mitzri, and Kishuin, they're all called Kishuin. So therefore, and the Reb Chaim Shita, so them it's Tarif, right? So therefore, they make up 8 amos and 2 shuros. Even though I guess it's really half a shura, Kishuin, half a shura of Luin, half a shura of Mitzri, half a shura of Kishuin. But the point is that it's they all join together to make up the 2 shuros, which make up 8 amos in the middle. According to the Kahati, it means that since you have 2 kishuas, 1 on each side, so therefore that's the 8 amos which you need for the achaka. The 1 on each side, which is the shura of 4 amos on that side, and the other on the other side, which is shura of 4 amos on that side, and therefore that's sufficient. So the obviously 2 shuros of these of kishuin and luin are much wider than 2 shuros of other vegetables, because otherwise we're talking about 6 tefachim. We're talking about 4 amos because they're much wider and they grow with much excessive foliage. But in any event, Rabbi Yochanan says whatever the machlokes over there is because it's dealing with lesser foliage, things which are not don't have this look so distinct, and they make an impression of their on account of their significance and their lush foliage. So therefore, according to Chizkiah, the machlokes which we're going to have in the next Mishnah applies in our Mishnah. According to Rabbi Yochanan, no, since the mikshos are elaborate, and perhaps the Luin Pula Mitzri elaborate, like Reb Chaim says, or perhaps just because the mikshos themselves are so elaborate and they're both sides, so therefore everybody agrees that here all you need in the middle is 8 amos. You don't have to have any 12 amos. Okay, so he says, he yafa kol muksha mikshos l'latzil b'shmona. But even according to the Kanti, muksha and mikshos stands sounds like it's not actually going on the two mukshos, but like Reb Chaim says, the muksha in the middle of the other mukshos. It could be, so it's more like Reb Chaim. Okay, be that as it may, the main point was, even Chizkiah says the two Mishnayos are connected, Rabbi Yehuda says the Mishnayos are not connected. I will stop here.